I was listening to an interview on Arise Televisions, okay, about Isaac Balami's interview, the former deputy campaign director for 2023 Obi's election. So there's a kind of mischaracterizations and false information being said on that interview. I want you guys to watch that interview briefly, and I will return back to give you guys my own strong response. Okay? To give you guys my own strong response. So watch it.
Now, few political defections in recent times have generated though he stands firmly in the camp of President Tinubu and the APC. This week, Mr. Balami led a delegation of former obedient leaders, professionals and support groups to meet the president's son, Sheyi Tinubu, declaring that the movement, which helped secure over 6 million votes for Peter Obi, is now, in his words, obediently batified, and promising to mobilize as many as 12 million votes for the president in 2027. Mr. Balami says he left because loyal supporters were neglected, unappreciated, and denied opportunities. His critics accuse him of abandoning the very movement that gave him political relevance, choosing power over principle, and trading opposition for proximity to government. So was this a painful political awakening or simply another reminder that in Nigerian politics there are only permanent interests? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the former deputy chairman, campaign manager of the Obi Dati presidential campaign, Isaac Balami, who's now been effectively batified and who is also an aviation entrepreneur and a philanthropist. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Uncle Charles. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Good to see you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've been busy with business.
You've been busy with the presidency, have you?
Of recent years, but busy with the university takeoff. I've just done with first semester now. Planning to go back for second semester.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to talk a little bit about that later in the program. But you were one of the public faces of the obedient movement and the 2023 Obi Dati presidential campaign. Many Nigerians who trusted your judgment now say you've betrayed them. Have you betrayed the movement, or do you believe the movement betrayed you?
Very, very funny.
Well, it's not funny, actually. It's a very...
It is.
Balami interview on Arise television has generated significant debate among Nigerians, particularly among supporters of Peter Obi and the obedient movements. Having served as deputy campaign manager for the Obi Dati presidential campaign in 2023 election, Balami's decision to return to the APC naturally attract attention. However, friends, while every Nigerian has the constitutional right to change political affiliations, many of the conclusions and characterizations presented during that interview deserves closer scrutiny. And I'm going to give you guys my response. 1. Defection is a democratic right, but it does not rewrite history. No one should be condemned merely for changing political parties. Democracy guarantees freedom of association, and Isaac Balami exercised that right. The question raised by many Nigerians is not whether he was entitled to leave, but whether his current narratives fairly represent the movements he once helped to lead. Political realignment should not require rewriting history to justify present choices. Personal disappointment should not be presented as the failure of an entire movement. Throughout the interview, Balami repeatedly explained that he felt neglected after the 2023 election and that his proposals were ignored. Even if those experiences accurately reflect his personal experience, they do not necessarily establish that the obedient movement as a whole failed or lacked purpose. Millions of Nigerians did not support Peter Obi because of appointments or political rewards. They supported him because they believed his campaign represented a different approach to governance. Once emphasizing what? Fiscal discipline and also anti-corruption, institutional reform and also accountability. So reducing a nationwide movement to internal disagreements, okay, risk overlooking the broader motivations of its supporters. Second, was the Obidia movement really about political appointments? One implication in the interview is the loyal campaigners were not sufficiently recognized after the election. Yet one of the defining features of the Obedient movement was that many volunteers worked without expecting government positions, contract, or financial rewards. Many paid their own transportations, printed their campaign materials with their own personal funds, organized rallies independently, and also campaign online and offline without compensation. Whether or not some campaign officials felt overlooked, that experience should not be generalized to the entire movement. Thirdly, they claim that Peter Obi failed because the campaign could not defend its votes. Balami in that interview argues that inadequate polling agent structures prevented the campaign from proving its case after the election. This criticism raises legitimate questions about campaign organization, and political campaign can always learn from that operational shortcomings. However, friends, it does not by itself establish that Peter Obi did not receive widespread support. Okay? Fourthly, question about election administration, evidence, and also litigations are separate from campaign logistics. A campaign organizational weakness do not automatically determine the validity of the vote cast by millions of citizens. What are the core decisions and political beliefs? They are different questions during interview. Now, in that interview, Balami suggests that because the court did not overturn the election result, he accepted the outcome and moved on. In a constitutional democracy, court judgments are legally binding. At the same time, citizens may continue to debate political questions about what? Campaign conduct, election administration, and electoral reform. Accepting a court legal authority is different from agreeing with what? Every political conclusion surrounding an election. Now he's praising government achievement. It's legitimate. Balami commended President Tinubu's administrations for reforms, appointments, local government autonomy, and also engagement with minority communities. This is laughable. Supporters of the administrations may agree with those assessments. Others may point out to persistent concerns, including what? Inflation, cost of living, unemployment, insecurity, and also public services, and reach different conclusions about the present administrations. Overall, the performance is bad. Now, let me just say this. Reasonable people can disagree whether recent reforms have produced sufficient improvement in citizens' daily lives. The Obedient movement was never built around one individual. One of the interview underlying assumption is that influential campaign figures can move large number of Obedient supporters with them. Really? Because you move to APC, you feel that the Obedient is going to move with you. Laughable. The movement's own identity has generally emphasized citizen participations over personalities. Many supporters join because of shared policy preferences rather than allegiance to what individual organizers. For that reason, friends, Balami, a prominent defection does not necessarily imply that the broader movement will follow you to APC. The politics of interest That is the argument he said. Balami repeatedly said that politics is all about interests. Fine, fair enough. Political interests are indeed part of democratic politics. However, many Nigerians also expect politics to reflect principles, public accountability, and also policy commitments. Citizens are entitled to ask whether a significant shift in political allegiance reflects change in evidence, change in priorities, or simply change in political opportunities. These are fair questions in any ramifications or in any democracy that is practiced. Peter Obi's support was broader than any single campaign official. The 2023 campaign mobilized millions of first-time voters, professionals, students, entrepreneurs, market traders, and even members of the Nigerian diaspora. That is not debatable. While campaign officials contributed to that effort, the movement growth was also driven by volunteers acting independently across the country. Therefore, Balami, credit for the movement's success or responsibility for its challenges cannot reasonably be assigned to any one individual. What are the lessons for future opposition campaigns? On that interview also highlights areas from which opposition parties can also learn. Build stronger grassroots structure well before election day. All right? Recruit and also train polling agents comprehensively. Also improve in communication between the campaign leadership and also the volunteers. Develop sustainable internal decision making process. Okay? Maintain engagement with supporters after election, regardless of the outcome. Okay? Constructive criticism can also strengthen future campaign without diminishing the commitment of those who helped you. All right? Now, let's go to the conclusion. All right? I'm trying to conclude. My camera is acting up, so just bear with me. Now, in my conclusion, Isaac Balami have every constitutional right to join any political party he believes best represent his own current views. His experiences within Peter Obi campaign, all right, are his own, and he is entitled to express them, fair enough. Okay. At the same time, one person's political journey should not be treated, okay, as the definitive story of the Obi movement or of the Peter Obi's 2023 election. Moreover, millions of Nigerians supported Peter Obi, okay, because they believe in particular vision of governance. Whether they continue to support him or not, okay, or they choose another candidate in the future election will depend on their own decision making, assessment of the competing policies, leadership, and also performance, not solely on the decision of a former campaign officials. In the end, all right, democracy are strengthened not by unquestioning loyalty to personality, but by inform citizens and evaluate claims critically, distinguishing and also in opinion from evidence, and also hold every political actor to the same level. So friends, sorry, my camera was acting up, so I'm trying to keep the light going. That's why I'm touching the screen. So this is where I'm going to stop on this rebuttal. That is my rebuttal, my response to Isaac Balami's interview on Arise TV. I listened to that interview. I watched it, and I see a lot of mischaracterization in that interview, and I say, you know what, this deserves rebuttal. This deserves a response. So this is my own response to that interview. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please, I would like to hear from you guys in your comment sections. What do you guys think about it after watching that video and my response? So please keep watching, share the video, and I'm going to see you guys in my next video. Remain blessed. Bye-bye.